Hello, everyone. We are going off the rails. This is the show dedicated to Disney and tangents. I am your host, Craig Williams, and today joined alongside by great people like Jackie Gailey.
Hello, everyone.
And Denny Sunderly.
Hi there.
And the one and only Rhino.
Hello.
What I like to call the greatest showman, Rhino.
Mm-hmm. This is the greatest show.
Oh, well,
Yes.
Speaking of the greatest show, this, in fact, is the greatest show.
It, in fact, is.
Yes, so this is the greatest show, and we have a very great show for you today. We're going to talk about what makes our blood boil when we're at Disney. I mean, yes, right now it's not fair to say because we're going through like a nice little cold spell in Florida. It's going to get a little warmer, but winter is coming, so it's going to be nice. But we're talking about like more annoying things, not like literally on the days of the summer where you're walking around Epcot for a food and wine festival saying, my blood is literally boiling under the Florida sun. It's way too hot. So we're taking this metaphorically, not literally. Is that what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, Jane.
Fantastic. Okay, before we get to that, though, I want to remind you that this is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. If you like our content and you want to support us, please consider booking your next vacation to Walt Disney World through Dreams Unlimited Travel. It costs you no extra money, and you get that world-class level of support from a Dreams Unlimited Travel agent. So head over to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com today for a free, no-obligation quote. Now, this episode in particular was inspired, I'll say partially, mostly, by an experience that Rhino had very recently at Walt Disney World. And you know what? I thought about this one while I was lying in bed. So I think I have a lot more issues to deal with. The fact that I was thinking about Rhino as I was lying in bed. But
Just getting shoved over and over again. Just replaying my trauma in your head, going like, yes.
yeah, to get like really niche with this one, I kind of pictured you getting shoved like that episode of Seinfeld where George is back in high school with Jerry and he gets the wedgie from the gym teacher. And they do like the fast cut clip where it's like 3 times over and over again, him go, ah, ah, ah.
I thought it was going to be like when George pushed the old lady when the fire was happening.
That's
what you...
that is probably more accurate to what happened in your situation.
No, it was a double-handed push on my back,
Right.
back forward.
You know what? There might have. No one knows.
No one
knows.
does know.
That actually infuriates me still.
That's crazy.
It also you might have been in like an office situation where you were starting to go over into the koi pond and you know you just didn't no one gave you the help you needed.
So she was helping you.
That's
Yeah,
probably
helping me find the floor with my
That's
space.
how she probably tells the story that way.
I bet that is how she tells the story. But yes,
I like how everyone assumed it was a man that pushed me too. And I was like, it was a woman. It was a gaggle of women shoved me
Them
to the
women.
ground.
I don't know if you can say a gaggle of women anymore.
Why not?
A goose of women.
Is that the
That's the word for goose, isn't it? Gaggle?
No, that's gander.
yeah?
A gander of women.
There you
Gander
go.
is
What does
male.
gaggle
Right.
mean?
A gaggle of I think it's a group of geese. A gaggle.
I think gaggle is the
We've said it
past
so much it
participle of Google.
Not really anymore. Oh, I gaggled
Like
that.
I gaggled that.
Did you gaggle your name earlier today to find
I
out where you
gaggled
are?
it.
Yeah. Don't worry, guys. I gaggled it.
Oh my gosh.
We figured it out. We got to the bottom of it. But seriously, it was inspired by an incident that happened with Rhino at Walt Disney World. There are times where, you know, vacation should be the most magical time of your life. You should be enjoying every second of it. But sometimes things just really get to you. And it can be a variety of things. It can be other people around you. It can be just the entire atmosphere of where you are. But sometimes things can get you and make your blood really boil. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, we have an update on the gaggle.
Yeah.
This just in.
Well, so Denny looked it up. It says the collective noun. This is important. The collective noun for a group of geese is called a gaggle. But when in a fight, they're called a skein.
Whoa.
A team or a wedge.
I feel
So those
wedge.
wedges came right for me.
I feel like you're
way.
getting like very Raymond Holt with your
wedge.
the way you're trying to come up with words that make you sound more eloquent than you really are.
Wow.
One of my favorite characters.
I know. That's why I used him specifically. So,
That's pretty
who
impressive.
would like to go first?
I will.
What's something that makes your blood boil?
I will.
Okay.
I will, because it was also happening at the same time. So other than being shoved and pushed for merchandise, this has happened to me so much lately. I don't know if it's happened to you at all. When you are looking at a piece of merchandise, like literally, like you're at the rack, your hand is on the merchandise, like you've picked it up. It has happened in multiple times in the last couple months. Somebody else literally you literally, it's in your hand. It'd be like, oh, look at my water bottle. And then you would be taking it and like trying to look at it too. And I'm like, it's in my hand. Like, let go. It's not even like, and it'll happen in the most random times. It won't be like, oh, this is brand new merchandise or anything like that. But I have repeatedly had it happen where I'm literally do that thing where it's like on the edge of the hanger, my hand's on it. I'm pulling it, like looking at it to see it all like spread out, the clothing item, whatever. And someone will come up and like will pull the other side of it, and then I just pick it up and walk away because I'm like, don't touch this. I'm looking at like, get away from me.
Right. Like there's a whole rest of the store, buddy.
There are other items. You could just wait 10 seconds. You can see I'm not looking at the last one. And even if I were, it's now in my possession, and it is my decision whether I'm going to buy it or not. And if I choose not to, now it's your turn next. However, it is currently in my orb of purchase.
Yeah. Yes.
Once you enter the orb of purchase, no other hands come in that orb.
I agree.
Do you think it stems from like a fear of missing out type of situation? Like that, but no, that's the one. I need to have that. Clearly he's looking at it. So that's what I need to have.
Well, because you know what it's like? It reminds me of like when you're in a theme, when you're somewhere, you know, like, because we sometimes will take pictures or video or be interested in the slightest thing that it will mean nothing to anybody, or it'll be like an inside joke for us. We're like, oh, we got to like take a picture and look at that thing. And then other people will look up and take a picture. It's the same thing when people do the stuff where they're like, they'll see somebody take a picture of us, and then you'll see a complete nobody who's not with anybody's group just go, who are they? And I'll be like, if you don't know, you don't know, because it doesn't matter. It means we're not important to you, so that's okay. Move on with your life.
As far as the grabbing of merchandise, I wonder if the time of isolation that we've all had, you know, these last 18, 19 months, we have forgotten our manners.
I guess.
Seems like that. Because people do things now that make my blood boil. Like I haven't been in a theme park without somebody doing something that makes my blood boil. And last night included, Denny and I had staked out a spot for the parade at the.
I got another good one for this
Oh,
one.
dear.
I feel like
Write
you're
it
heading in
down.
a direction, and it's already getting me. I can feel it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
See, that's how I was getting all tingly
Yeah.
when you were like, and they were in my bubble, my purchase bubble. And yes, so Denny and I are standing there under this beautiful Christmas tree, looking at Main Street with all of its glory. And here comes Craig with his tripod, and he, comes up, and Denny was standing where he was gonna put his tripod, and these people sort of acted like
I know, yeah.
like we were gonna move into their space somehow, and
Yeah, what did they say to you? They were like, "Oh, we're not going anywhere,"
we weren't leaving.
and Denny had to be like, "Oh,
No.
we're not. That's okay." She was
I'm
like,
going
"We're
to
just switching places."
So I'm going to step
he's
out.
just gonna put that right where I'm standing. But they continued. And see, if it would have just been left at that,
Oh, I didn't hear that.
my
yeah.
hair wouldn't have been standing on end. But one of them continued on to the point where she brought over another person that was on the other side to stand also in that space. So they were almost crowding where Craig was, as if they were gonna, like, I was just like, And see, this is the thing that's happened to me over the last 18 months, like you've said.
They were also in a scooter. One of them was in a scooter, which is
In a
important because I
scooter,
feel
yes.
like once you're in a scooter, you physically nobody can. Push,
Nobody can-
You can't be.
yeah.
I mean,
Well-
you can be pushed on the scooter, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, like,
you
no.
have a definitive space marker right
You
there.
do.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
from my side of this is I was fine when you two were both gracious enough to hold a spot for me, just so
Yes.
I had one of the angles I wanted to see. But when I
Yep.
got to that spot, usually under the tree, it is packed solid, like completely. That you can't. If you're not at the front of it, you're not going to be at the front of it, and
Right.
chances are there's no room behind it.
Yeah.
When I showed up, y'all were both at the front of the rope, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I am 6'3", and Jackie is maybe 5'3". Denny,
5'2",
what? You're
yeah.
5'2.5". Thank
so
you.
Yeah.
you're all you're right in that same height.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see a person in a scooter, another very short person. I was also like, okay, I don't even need to get up on the railing. I can literally put my tripod up above you, and unless you feel the need to put your hands up all the way
you know
up
they
in
will
front.
with this cell phone.
Yeah, no, and
Don't-
no.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Well, in my situation, they did not. So I could have even just stood behind everyone, which is something I was willing to do, but they were so protective about the space behind them. Yet they
Yeah.
did not create the perimeter. You must create the
Yeah.
perimeter that you want to be in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you just say, no, someone was going to stand back there behind me too, well, you know what?
Did they say that?
It was heavily implied.
It was
It was
Oh.
heavily
so
implied.
ugly.
It
and
was
that's-
weird.
And,
It was
and,
just weird.
like Denny even said to
Oh.
me, "You said it'll be okay."
It'll be okay.
Because I said, because this is the problem. With
You were
me
ready
right
to
now.
throw down.
I am like, you need to chill because we're not trying to get in your space. I promise. Like I can do that in a very nice and professional manner that wouldn't embarrass anybody. And I was really about to go there. But the problem is that I have to bite my tongue because my face, I do not hide my expressions well. And when people are just being completely atrocious like that, I find now that I have very little patience for it. It really makes my blood boil because I'm like, listen, we are the most gracious people you're ever going to find. I promise. We are not trying to shove you out of the way. We are not doing that. I promise. So even if you think it looks like that, I can assure you that it's not. But they were so unnecessarily obnoxious that I was finding it really hard to bite my tongue because the audacity of people to go there just blew my mind completely. And they were all equally as obnoxious. And the one lady was on the one side of the scooter opposite of us. And then she came over to the other side of the scooter next to us to make really good ensure that we weren't going to try to scoot over. And I thought, that is just a lot of effort for something that is unnecessary.
Well, if that group is out there watching now, just know we really appreciate your support. Thank you for tuning in, whether
Seriously.
watching or listening. And we're not talking about you. We're talking
Right.
about other people.
But that does bring up a thing that
In
I
general.
do hate is that
Sorry.
that thing when you're in a space, like when you're just in a standing space to create, like I'll wear a backpack, whatever, like,
Yeah.
and I don't care. I know we're all here and we're all trying to sing the same show, and that's fine. I hate the creepers. Like they slowly start creeping into your space. Like when I went to see Happily Ever After, like I was the last person that was in the row, and then it was supposed to be a walkway behind me, and people eventually it expanded to more people. And whatever, that's fine. I get it. It's the last show of Happily Ever After. But then like a family came and their kid would like, and I have the same feeling because I know Craig feels the same way, with long hair is leaning on my sweaty leg because it was really hot. And I turned around and I was like, oh, excuse me. Like, and the dad was like, hey, you got to move back, move away from him, blah, blah, blah. It happened like 6 more times. And I am not exaggerating because it got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to stand on the kid's hair. and then we'll be like, we'll see what happens when you go to move now. And like, I didn't do that because I'm obviously but that's what it like bubbles into this thing. It's like Ghostbusters 2. The pink slime is just rising up out of my sewer.
Yeah, just
Love
yeah.
Ghostbusters too.
That is the worst part of getting on any ride. Like, it's a small world, one that's extended, one that you're going to end up probably like waiting forever to finally get off of the attraction. And you're sitting in those tight, narrow rows, and then the person in front of you has Rapunzel length hair that goes all the way down. And rather than like tie it up or make sure it goes down into the bench, instead it will just hang off and then just rub up against your knees and your legs. And it's the feeling. It's not, I don't think that these people, like, it's not, their hair is so gross and nasty. It's not
just
that.
not your
I
hair,
just don't
though.
like the feeling. I also don't like giving hugs to people. I don't like strangers touching me. I don't like any of that. But hair is like, it's like the equivalent of taking the feather and just like lightly touching. It's like it's not even. It's the ticklish feeling of it, but it's also it's like
It's what does Charles Boyle say on Brooklyn Nine-Nine all the time? The most intimate thing you can do is wash a woman's hair. And it's like a running joke throughout the show. So I always think like, get your hair away from me. Like, but I actually saw an article, like a thing online where it was somebody had like, I'm talking like hair down below the butt crack, that type of length hair, had sat on a flight and then taken their hair and put it over the back of the seat because they didn't want to sit on their hair.
No.
And there are people who were like, I don't see anything wrong with that. And I was like, are you kidding me? That is in somebody else's space. I would have like, ding, flight attendant, excuse me. Like this is where's my TV? Where's my whatever? Yeah, that stays in your seat. Like I don't like, I mean, people who like don't even think, like the person actively did that, like had to pull it up and be like, that's okay. This will be fine for that person's space behind them. I hate that like lack of
What if I have a TV
personal
in the seat
space.
back?
I
can't see my TV.
Like it's gross. Like
And your tray table?
No.
Yeah, God, good Lord. But
That is not okay.
so I'm just like, I am all about like, I want that personal space because I don't want anybody bumping into me. I get it. We're in a theme park. We're going to bump into each other here and there. But I hate the people that just keep crouching to the point where they like try to push you out, where it's like, no, I was here first and there was plenty of space around me when I started. And now you're right up against me, making me like you end up having to do like the one step to the side or the step. And then I'm starting to be like, I'm not moving my feet another second. I don't care. This person will just have to keep bumping into me. I'm like
you're
a magnet
off-center.
to that stuff. I don't know why.
I was so irritated last night, and I feel bad, but I just, I don't like that either. Like personal space. Get that there's a lot of people that want to be right here, but
You know what else? You know what else gets me? And I feel for it because I'm not a parent. I don't have children, and I know it's a lot of work to be a parent and raise children. And there are some times where you're just like, the brain has got to tune out at some point for your own safety or whatever. But I don't care when kids are like having a good time and they're yelling and they're whatever. But if your kid is just straight up kids or just straight up screaming the entire time, at what point do you say, guys, you got to settle down a little bit? Or like, can we lower our voice? My mom would never have let me just scream inside for an extended period of time. Yeah. Like if we were playing and like, oh, whatever, but she still would have been like, hey, we're in a room together with other people. This isn't your room.
Exactly.
I don't know. That drives me crazy.
Yeah, it can be annoying.
I know,
but there's also a funny side to it too. So like, in terms of that very first Disney After Hours party, I got in there and I wanted to watch Enchantment because I like that show. So
me too.
I got a spot on the bridge going from going up towards Mad Tea Party. So it was a side castle view, and then you could still see the fireworks over the trees. So not bad, but you don't get the full show in there. Turns out they don't pipe the music in on that bridge, despite so many people standing there to watch it. You could not
bridge?
hear like the long length that if you would standing in the hub, you take the right and you're heading towards Mad Tea Party, going past Cosmic Rays. Brave is on the left.
Yeah.
That one. There is no sound at all being piped in there during the fireworks.
Huh?
At all. So
That's weird.
it was super quiet except for the booms, and you could hear some of the music like way off into the hub. But then there was this one girl losing her mind in happiness. like, the colors. Look at the colors, and like kept going on.
Oh.
Like almost the entire show, and
Oh my gosh.
like it's one of those things. I'm like, if you could hear the music, you wouldn't mind it as much, but because you couldn't hear anything,
Oh.
and it's just screaming
And that's
about
all
the
you heard.
colors, it was like for me.
See, that
I've seen
makes
it so
me
many
laugh.
times now that I don't need the music necessarily. It adds to it, but it was like, okay, this is a situation and where like the screaming, most parents probably would have been like, you got to be quiet, you got to be quiet, but it was just like it clicked in the moment. It was pretty funny. The colors.
I know what it was where the kid was yelling. I saw Harmonious finally. And it was a kid, but I was like, again, toward the end, and it was on the other walkway, and the kids were just like, whoa! They kept yelling. And because one of my friends was like, oh my God, what is going on? And I was like, I think it's a kid who's seeing like fireworks for the first time in their entire life. Because they were just
So
like,
cool.
it would be like it would be whenever like 10 went off at once, and it was just, they were like, wah! like they didn't know what was happening. But it was funny. But the same. I have another blood boil right from that incident because there was only like probably like maybe like 2 rows or 3 rows of people in front of me. A woman in a scooter stood up on the seat of her scooter and put the cell phone over her. I'm not even kidding you. Stood on the scooter and used their cell phone to record. The guy next to them record. Somebody walked right in front of me, held the phone up to record. And it's like sideways. It's like this. Like Craig knows I have a video of a guy at Disneyland who literally walked right in front of the camera, holds his phone up like he's recording. Like I'm talking like I'm holding the camera right in front of the lens. And I was like, what the heck? Like, so I like move over a little bit. Then I can see through my lens his camera still, because I was just trying to get like a shot or two. I'm not recording the whole show. And the guy wasn't even recording.
No.
And he's just holding the phone
I
up.
forgot
And then he
about
forgets
that.
it. And then he records for like a second. But then he like, as he's recording, he's like this. And then he just walks away.
What was that?
Oh,
what was
my
that?
That
gosh.
was
He was just
Fantasmic, I think,
trolling
when we
you.
were watching Fantasmic at Disneyland.
I don't think it was Fantasmic, but I know the exact moment. Like I can picture us being
Yeah,
there,
remember-
and we were because he just held it up and he thought he was recording,
And we were just
my
watching, waiting for him
gosh.
and then,
to realize
and then
it.
he hit record and pulled his phone down.
And then put it
no.
down. Yeah, that was it.
Because
Yeah.
he probably thought he was stopping it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yes.
but then we swear he realized it because then he looked at it and it was just this weird like, and I was like,
Oh my god.
okay. I was like, thanks for hopping in front of me to do this, but I was like, karma served you right. But
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it is. Sometime in the past, I will say like, I'll say year actually. It seems like people have learned like, oh, I can just hold my phone and stick my arm straight up in the
Yeah.
air. For a longest time, it would be maybe a little bit above your head, but it is now just gone straight to, let me put it up. And, like,
And then they'll
did
just
you
watch like
realize
this, they won't even
you
look at it.
can't see
Right.
what
Yeah.
you're actually taking photos of? Like, just
there are
put
people
it down.
behind you. Live in the moment. My biggest complaint is, I mean, I guess if you're trying to share the moment, so I get it. But like, look around you. Somebody is recording a better video of that. There is a better video. There is an official Disney video. There was Craig's video. There are better videos on the internet that if you are trying to rewatch someday, I guarantee you it's going to look better online than on your cell phone. I do get trying to capture a moment of it or something like that. But these people were straight up like, I couldn't see. Like the cell phones, it was the first time I've ever really, really had that experience. Like I've had it before where it's like here and there, but it was like, I literally said to my friend, I was like, I really am having trouble seeing the show at all because of these people. Because it was
Such a
people
shame.
that were taller than me. And they were straight up, they were doing what Craig's saying, straight up in the air.
No, you get the space. I get
Yeah.
5'2" and a
Tuck your
half
head.
inches to be able to hold my phone up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't, I get to, I can't. I kind of feel that way. Like you,
Yeah.
you don't get to take up space that isn't your physical
It's-
space.
it's
Just hold your
well,
phone within
Worse
that.
than the child on the shoulders at this point, I feel
And
like.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's
think you're
why
right.
I will be completely transparent with myself here because you will see me in a park probably at some point in time if you're looking for me and it's like an important night for fireworks. I will have my tripod out and
Or
I
like
will
the
have my
person who took
camera.
the silent photo with us last night.
Yes, that she was awesome.
Yeah.
I really hope she reaches out to us because I like felt bad that we didn't get her name. I was recording the musical performance at the After Hours event, and a girl came up to us and like basically she just whispered at the quietest level. She might not even whispered. She might have just been mouthing it all, and we all understood in that moment. But she knew I was recording, so she did not want to disrupt it. So she was just like,
Bless her.
and so we stepped off to the back, and like it was so nice of it. But what I was going to say in this is, because you can easily jump down my back, my throat, for saying like, oh, well, you throw your tripod up real high and put your camera on there. I try to establish it at least an hour ahead of time when it's something big. So that way, if you're behind me, you know, okay, this is going to block it. I try to keep it at the point where if I'm standing up, then the camera's still at my head level. So it's not going up above my head, which when you're 6'3", that helps out a lot. But sometimes it does go higher if people are getting a little crazy with the height. Sometimes I'll throw it up more too. But that's why I try to establish ahead of time saying, hey, I am sorry. I am a 6'3" person that then has a camera that's even taller here. Standing in behind me probably is not the smartest way you want to go if you want to be able to see. And so there are ways of being polite, letting people around you know, like, just be like, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna record the entire thing. It's just common courtesy.
Yeah.
Right before a show, everyone's standing around talking to each other anyways. It seems more and more at Disney, and one of the things that makes my blood boil as a person who doesn't like random conversations with strangers, the people have been like overly friendly at Disney, where you'll just be like, I could go for a mint, and they will like strike up an hour-long conversation like, if you like mints, I've got to tell you, there's this new Wrigley's gum, and go on it. It happened to Rhino and I one day. He engaged with a person that we were standing there talking. The person said one thing that jumped right into it. Rhino ended up engaging with it, and it was like another 20 minutes of conversation after that, which is very nice of Rhino. I can't sustain that.
Bad, yeah.
I am too awkward. I know it might not come off like that on these shows, but I am a very awkward person in person. I will do a lot of bowing. I will.
Yeah, he does bow.
That's your go-to move?
Excessively bows.
Yes. I don't know why it just keeps happening, and then I started recently doing
like
this
Jeff
thing
Goldblum. He's like,
where I go like I do like chicken hands like at the wedding, like like, and I'll be like, oh hi, and I don't.
What am I doing with my hands?
I don't know what am I doing? I don't know where to put my hands.
There.
So it's like I am a very awkward person. So it's like every time someone puts me in the situation that I need to be polite and speak back, I'm like, I don't know what to say. It's different when you come up to me and say, hey, I love your videos. I think you're hilarious. At least then I know we have that, there's something I can go off of it. But sometimes, it's not really a blood boil thing, I guess. It's more of, I hate how awkward I am.
Oh, I think we all have our moments where we, I'll be having a conversation with amazing listeners, and then I start kind of getting in my own head going, okay, you need to stop now, or you need to whatever. We can all talk ourselves out of any conversation. So we're right there with you, Craig.
Oh gosh,
don't even worry about it. The thing that really can make my blood boil is our guests, part guests that are rude to cast members.
Oh my
God, I just don't. I understand it from the viewpoint that we are human beings. I am not perfect, and I am capable of just atrocious things, atrocious attitudes from time to time. More, my husband would chime in and agree with that. But whatever. But I mean, we are capable of anything at any time, given the situation, and we are so set up rolling into Walt Disney World to think that it's going to be amazing because we've paid so much for this vacation, but to take it out on the amazing frontline cast members, and
who didn't make the thing that you're upset most
didn't.
likely 9 times out of 10. I would say, I mean, maybe even more, 8 times out of 10. Like, it's not their. They are not people who can make any sort of decision that has that sort of impact, like the thing you're upset about is most likely what it is.
You're right.
I try to start all conversations with, I know this isn't your fault, but I just need to blah, 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 blah. You know, something like
That's
that.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
nice.
That's a good, nice. I like that. I like that way of starting it.
It doesn't matter what it is. You have to try to lead with a little bit of kindness for these people who've just shown up to their job.
I call it the Amazon way, where like, because I always think if there's ever an issue with something on Amazon, you have to talk. You do the specialist they connect you with, and there's so many people who just unload on them. And I was like, this person's like not even anywhere near where I am in the world right now, and this is all they're gonna get. So I will always be like, I know this isn't your fault, blah blah blah. I'm just like communicating my frustrations with you, and I really appreciate that you're here to help me with this. And da, da, da. And they're usually like, I've had some people who are like, thank you so much. That actually means a lot because people are sometimes pretty terrible, and so I like to always take that step back and be like, it's different if somebody actually like the cast member punched them in the face or something like that. But
Right. I mean, there's a T-shirt that I will eventually get that just says "Be kind to cast members."
yeah.
And that's what I want to. That's what I want to try to be when I'm in those parks, because I know that job is hard. That
hard.
job is hard.
It's
You guys
emotionally
can
taxing.
talk about that.
Emotionally taxing.
Yeah.
It can be, yeah. Because you got to think like, well, you were like, well, I was good for that 15 seconds, but when it's somebody over and over, and and I'll tell you, like, you don't want to always be in that situation setting them up. Like at Lights Motors Action, there was always a situation that I constantly was like, this is a situation set up for guest dissatisfaction.
Yes.
I was like, this is a bad scenario. This isn't the way to do it. And it sucks because when you're in that position, you're the one that they're going to be really upset about. And like, but then they call you on the thing and you have to slide them over, you have to do whatever. And it's like, so it's like, I can do the best I can, but the people who'd get up and like spit at you and whatever, they're the awful people.
Oh my God.
It's the hard part too is not to play devil's advocate on it, but to also look at the other side, because I was lucky enough to be in a leadership role for a little while too. There are also sometimes people on your team that literally pride themselves on coming to a work situation in a bad attitude, and they don't, when then they rub up against those guests who end up being angry towards everyone there. A lot of times not a lot of times with that person in particular, I'm not talking about all of them, but there are some who like causing that trouble. They like the drama.
They pride
that's
themselves
involved
on
in
it. Yeah.
So it's sometimes, so when you see it from the outside, sometimes, it could be a person, but most of the time it is just someone who is having a really bad day that's taking it out on a person that does not deserve it at all. But I also don't want to give a pass to everyone who's working, because sometimes people also don't know how to turn off when they go into something. It's the same thing we do with these recordings. Sometimes we're in a bad mood and we get feisty, or we're tired, so we get loopy. It's emotions run high, especially at theme parks. So everyone does need to practice like the calm down and take a couple breaths and step back. But I do sometimes, you also see the red flags from guests. Like there was one day I was in line for Peter Pan's flight and it was not moving at all. And this family was behind me and they were just letting the little kid kick me, grab my leg.
Oh.
I literally did everything I could but to scream at them. And then ultimately it started moving. I was able to distance a little bit more. I was able to like kind of prop my leg up and kind of like move it backwards. So I created extra space for myself. But as I walked away from my experience, I was like, this is the type of like negligence, not paying attention, that at some point in time during your trip, I do think you're going to chew out a cast member for something that's not their fault.
Yeah.
Just because you caught it at the wrong moment and want to blame someone else for it. And it's a shame that has to happen.
We're just all monsters.
It's too bad. Yeah.
Oh, I'm the biggest monster here.
We were standing next to a stroller. We were standing right behind a stroller, watching the fireworks, and the baby was sleeping, and the mom kept looking down just to double check that the baby was still sleeping. And then another mom came over with her child. And so she was on the other side of the stroller. And this child kept on going in between the stroller and the railing.
I was watching
And she
that, like,
kept
oh,
doing
gosh.
things like moving herself, doing stuff to bump the stroller. And so the mom, and she wasn't like intentionally bumping the stroller, but because she was trying to wedge herself into the space between the stroller and the railing, she was doing this. And the mom kept looking at the mom of the sleeping baby, kept looking at the mom of this other kid. And the mom of this other kid looked back. So she was very fully aware of what was happening. And I was getting completely horrified
Yeah.
because I don't have patience for that. Like, it's one thing if you don't see it. Like, if you somehow, like what Craig, you were describing, this kid with their legs and with your legs and messing around. Like, if the parent doesn't realize what's going on, like, that's one thing. But when you turn around and you're looking at your kid doing what they're doing and you are actively choosing not to do something about that, I just find that atrocious to let that go on. It's just so just not respectful toward other people in general. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have I don't know.
No, it's okay. I think we'll start to wrap this one up. I'm going to wrap up on a goofy one that makes my blood boil, but is like really dumb. But have you ever been like in a line for merch or something else, and you get the random person who comes up to you and says, "Hey, what's this line all about?" And you explain it to them, and you're calm the first time, but then 10 seconds later, when that person you just talked to walks away and another person saw that person talk to you, they think that gives them the open invitation to then come and ask you the same question. And before you know it, you've answered the same question to 4 people.
And then before you know it, you work there.
Well,
that's what I was saying.
I was standing in the France Pavilion expansion the night of my preview, my annual pass holder preview. It was my first time getting to ride the attraction. I wore my Remy dress, some of my dress shop Remy dress. I've got the crinoline going on, the whole 9 yards, and I've got my iPad with me because I'm standing there after I've ridden the attraction. I'm standing there at the trash can finishing an article. So I kind of, I've got it at one point, I've got it in my hand and I'm turning and I'm doing something, and a guest comes up and asks me a question about, clearly thought I was a cast member, about something with the pavilion and something with the creperie. And thankfully I knew the answer and told them where to go and what to do and all that jazz. And it was just, it's so, I've been that person, Craig, where I've seen a line and I go, gosh, I think I'm supposed to be, I think this is the cue.
No,
so I've had to
but
ask
that's,
and say,
that's
help me out.
different. That's different. If you are the one if you are looking for a specific line or looking for like the general area, that's different. I'm talking about the situation where it's clearly like, oh, a merchandise item is released. A person who has no idea about the merchandise, anything at all, comes up and, hey, what's this line all about? It's like,
for a popcorn bucket? That's not fair when they'll say it. And then you'd be like, all right, like, I didn't ask for your commentary. Just beat it.
It's like, why do you care? If you clearly are not in the know enough. And granted, maybe one time out of 10, they'll be like, actually, wow, that sounds cool. I didn't know about it. And they'll jump in line. But every time I've had this interaction, I will get asked 3 or 4 times in a row like consecutively with people coming out, what's this line all about? And they will just walk away then because it doesn't interest them. And I'm like, well, of course it doesn't interest you. If it interests you, you probably were like
you would know.
A nerd about it on the internet. You would know. But I get it. Sometimes you could be surprised and be like, oh, I did not know about that. I do need to get, I do want to try that. Or I'm interested in finding out what that's about. But they never do. So it's always just like, why? Just go find the ride you want to go on. Go find your flights of passage.
They're
Promise, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, that's true. They're curious, and then they want to make commentary on it.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah, it did.
True. That's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Poor cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sad. Way to bring
Poor
us down,
things.
Craig.
Listen, I
On
tried
that
to end
dead
it on
animal
a
note.
I tried to end it on a fun one, but I guess when it comes to blood boiling, there's just no fun. There's no fun involved. But we are going to take this one back on the rails and wrap this up. Thank you so much to everyone out there for listening and watching. If you want to support us even more, you can always book a trip through Dreams Unlimited Travel. So get a free no obligation quote today at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. You can also support us by watching this on YouTube, hitting the thumbs up, making sure you're subscribed to the channel, and leaving topics and comments in the comment section. And if you're listening to Off the Rails, please make sure you are subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts. And if it's through Apple, make sure you're leaving 5-star ratings and reviews if you're enjoying it. But I want to say thank you once again to everyone out there for listening and watching. Thank you to the panel for the great discussion. And we'll see you again real soon next time we go Off the Rails. Take care. Bye-bye.